Okay, sir, we'll start now. A very good evening to all of you and a
Good
warm
evening.
welcome. I, on behalf of Institute of Engineers India, Faridabad Local Center, heartily welcome you all, attendees, and thank you for taking out time from your busy schedules and gracing this webinar with your kind presence. Today, we at IEI are celebrating World Water Day, which was officially on 22nd of March 2022. The current webinar shall be available on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel, and it can be referred back at the later stages as well. I hereby extend a very warm welcome to our Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Sunil Kumar Ji. He is Chairman, Central Groundwater Board, who has agreed to guide us in this webinar. Thank you, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule. I also now welcome our panelists for the day, Engineer Vipul Khandelwar. He is Director, Gaurang Environmental Solutions Private Limited. Dr. Sarita Sachdeva ji. She is Professor Biotechnology, Executive Director and Dean Research, Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies. And Engineer O.S. Maurya ji. He is General Manager, Tehri Complex, TSDC India Limited. Thank you all, madam and sirs, for accepting our invitation to be expert speakers for today's webinar. Talking of IEI, we have always been at the forefront and we regularly conduct programs and also share how engineers make a difference to a sustainable future. We at IEI are committed to create public awareness and engagement on various issues. And celebrating the World Water Day across the country is our way of supporting and involving our community. To start now, I would now request our esteemed member, Shri Pradeep Mallaji, to kindly commence the auspicious lighting of the lamp and also subsequently play the IEI anthem. Sir.
विश्वेश्वरैया जी के आदर्शों को मिलकर करें नमन। आओ अभियंता बन हम सब, न भारत का करें सृजन। आओ अभियंता बन हम सब, न भारत का करें सृजन। जोड़े नदियाँ सेतु बनाए, शहर गाँव का भेद मिटाए। तकनीकी शिक्षा का दीपक विश्व के हर कोने में जलाए। ऊर्जा के अक्षय स्रोतों से मनुष्य को भी करे चमन। यातायात संचार में उन्नत प्रौद्योगिकी को अपनाएं, नैसर्गिक हो या औद्योगिक आपदाओं का करे शमन, आओ अभियंता गण हम सब भारत का करे सृजन, आओ अभियंता गण हम सब भारत का करे सृजन, विश्वेश्वरैया जी के आदर्शों को
आपको जो प्ले कराना उसमें आप अपना
अभी
वीडियो
नहीं, जब हमारा भी तो आएगा नंबर।
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I would now like to invite our dynamic chairman, Sri Sandeep Handa ji, to kindly say a few words about the topic of the webinar and also give us permission to start the proceedings. Sir, please.
Thank you, Engineer Indrajit ji. It's, your dynamism is much beyond mine. So I'll take a step behind and try to follow you. Number one. Number two, I really feel honored to welcome our chief guest today, Shri Sunil Kumar ji, who has really taken out time even after getting engaged into the ministerial activities. It is, I believe, a round of applause for him for giving such an impedance to World Water Day today, which we are celebrating, which was on 22nd 03 2022. It was the date itself was very good, and due to Saturday and the availability of the audience, our Honorary Secretary Shri Kuldeep ji planned it that way. Now, to add few things, today's topic is a very simple. Water is there. What they talk about is groundwater, invisible to visible. The 5 words are in self a full epic in self. What they say is groundwater, which is the major source for us, where the natural river or ponds are not available. So this becomes the major source for us, which is there for most of the time in most of the cities. Now, when we say invisible to visible, what it means is groundwater was earlier possible to see when the level was few feet, few meters, and we could always take it out, dig it out. But today, that visibility has gone much beyond in depth, and it has become almost invisible. This is what they are sharing today, and this is how our esteemed speakers would be taking us through. The choice of speakers is so good that they Kuldeep ji has organized both the industry, the academia, and the department in itself. It is first time that we would be having 3 variations of into this particular seminar today, and we would have aspects of 3 different areas. Now, this would be a really interesting, and it would be very encouraging. I would add what I learned. We've been celebrating World Water Day for past almost now 8 years, regularly every year. We do take our commitments, we do self-commitments, we do a lot of commitments, but somehow it withers off. So today, if it is okay with everyone, we would like in the end, before the close, everyone should share whatever commitment they have made, self-commit. That would really make it very encouraging, and we would try to put that onto our website as well. That's one suggestion. If it's okay with the organizer and Kuldeep ji is okay, we can do it. Now, adding to today's topic, water. Water was invented by Mr. Henry Cavendish during his time 1731 to 1830, and the basic formula H2O was discovered by Italian physician Amedeo Avogadro. The formula is so simple: two parts of hydrogen and one part of oxygen. Now, water is the second most important element for us. First being air, where we cannot survive beyond a certain time, few hours, few minutes, and then it comes to water, which takes 2 days. And one of the property which I learned today, I like to share, water is 775 times of air, water weight, which helps us in buoyancy. And that is how, which helps all the living beings, help them in swimming. This was news to me. I thought I'll share it with you. I'll put this stage back to our dynamic.
Thank you, Urmat sir. Thank you. Your thoughts have always been encouraging and guiding us to look towards a new dimension on every subject. In fact, the kind of science behind water you just enumerated, I think we have all studied in our student days, but that has really, we've never pondered upon the importance of that. And the second point, which you just mentioned, was the wonderful thought of penning down the commitments that we can make towards the society. That's the starting step. I think, sir, thank you for inspiring us, and we'll definitely like to put it on record for this. Now, to start the technical session, I would like to share my screen and proceed immediately. I would, first of all, I hope my screen is visible now.
Yeah, it is visible.
Yes. So now I would just start the presentation, and yes, sir. So I would just now today start with the World Water Day. I'll just take 5 minutes for the proceeding and work with the theme of today, and then we'll go ahead with our speakers. The World Water Day is annually celebrated on 22nd March every year, and it is a means of focusing attention on the importance of fresh water and advocating for the sustainable management of freshwater resources. Now, this day was formally proposed in Agenda 21 of the 1992 United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in Rio de Janeiro. The World Water Day is a means of focusing attention on the importance of fresh water. It is about taking action to tackle the global water crisis in support of Sustainable Development Goal, SDG, that is water and sanitation for all by 2030. The theme of today's World Water Day. In fact, this theme was decided in the 30th meeting of UN Water, which was convened in 31st January to 1st of February in 2019, 3 years before, at the headquarters of International Fund of Agricultural Development at Rome in Italy. And over 50 delegates of UN Water members and partners and 23 observers from government and other organizations attended this meeting. At this meeting, the UN Water decided that groundwater, making the invisible visible, will be the theme for World Water Day 2022. So 3 years before, this theme was already decided. We have a small video I would like from the UNESCO. I would like the audience to have a view of it.
क्या मतलब हुआ? पाकिस्तान वालों के लिए फ्री है तो
Yes, that is the theme of World Water Day 2022. Groundwater is invisible, but its impact is visible everywhere. Out of sight, under our feet, groundwater is a hidden treasure that enriches our lives. Almost all of the liquid fresh water in world is groundwater. And as the climate change gets worse, groundwater will become more and more critical. We need all to work together to sustainably manage this precious resource. Groundwater may be out of sight, but it must not be out of mind. That is the important point today. What is groundwater? Groundwater is water found underground in aquifers, which are geological formations of rocks, sands, and gravels that can hold water. Accounting for approximately 99% of all liquid fresh water on Earth, groundwater has the potential to provide societies with tremendous social, economic, and environment benefits and opportunities. Why we should care about groundwater? Because groundwater is being used in many areas. Groundwater pollution is a particular problem that can take decades or even centuries to recover from. So it's important that we explore, we protect, and we sustainably use groundwater, which will be central to surviving and adapting to climate change and meeting the needs of our population. We have to communicate with groundwater. This World Water Day would put a spotlight on this invisible resource, enhance our knowledge exchange and collaboration. And this webinar, the purpose today is increase the awareness about the importance of taking care of our groundwater. And groundwater must be thoroughly explored, analyzed, and monitored. I am very proud to say that today in our webinar, we've got excellent panelists with us. And I now invite our first panelist, Shri Vipul Khandelwal ji. He's Director, Gaurang Environmental Solutions Private Limited. He's BTech in Biotechnology and MTech in Environmental Engineering. He's an environment professional having 15 years of experience into various environmental endeavors. He's an IGBC accredited professional, and he has got experience, diverse experience of handling various environmental signposts. So with this, I would pause my share and hand over the next proceedings to Engineer Vipul Khandelwal ji. I would just like to request all our panelists, we've got the panelists that we would like to adhere to the time schedule. So each panelist has been accorded a time schedule of 18 to 20 minutes. We'd like you to kindly limit your deliberation within that time. So now I would request my Shri Vipul Khandelwal ji to kindly take over the presentation. Vipul ji, are you there? Mr. Vipul Khandelwal, please. I think we will come. Yes, he is there now. I think he is getting some problems with the systems. Vipulji, can we go to the next speaker? And yes, you're not audible, sir. You put on chat. You're not audible. Can you just see? Vipulji, can you just now say something? You're not audible, sir. There's some system problem.
Am I audible now?
Yes. Now you're audible, sir.
Okay. So good evening all. First of all, I would like to thank Institution of Engineers India for inviting me as a guest speaker in this event. The topic of
Your voice is, sir, can you increase the volume of your voice? Your voice is very, the volume is very low.
But is it okay now?
Yes, now it is okay, sir.
Okay. So first, I would like to thank Institutions of Engineers India for inviting me on this webinar, a very important webinar. And it is, as we all know, it is a burning problem nowadays, the groundwater. Because most of the parts of the country are dependent on groundwater, especially the industrial sectors, the agricultural sector, definitely. So I have prepared a little presentation it is just a brief on the groundwater. What is groundwater? How we can conserve it? What are the various uses? Without waiting any further, I'll start my presentation. Is my screen visible to all?
Yeah, audible.
Okay. So what is groundwater? It is a vital resource. We all know that provides almost half of the drinking water worldwide, about 40% of the water for irrigated agriculture, and about 1/3 of the water required for the industry. And it is an important part of the climate change adaptation process, and is often a solution for people without access to the safe water, because as we all know that most of the safe water comes from the groundwater. And despite these impressive facts and figures, invisible groundwater is out of sight and out of mind for most of the people. As you said, sir, you rightly pointed out, it is out of sight, but it should not be out of mind. But for most of the people, it is out of mind. So human activities, which includes population, economic growth, and climate variability are rapidly increasing. And this increases the pressure on the groundwater resources, which causes the serious depletion and pollution problems. And if this groundwater will continue to go down, it becomes invisible, and then the whole water will be being waterless, sick, and desolate. So I think, we all know, I don't know, are we aware that there are certain classifications of groundwater resources as per the CGWA classification, which are mainly to safe, semi-critical, critical, then followed by overexploited blocks. And number of overexploited blocks have been increasing over a period of time, and in Rajasthan alone, there are number of overexploited blocks in the entire country are maximum. Today, people displaced due to water scarcity are called climate change refugees in the countries where they seek refuge. And India is highly likely to come under the category of climate change refugee. If India has to be made water rich, then the community decentralized water management programs have to be adopted. So we have, so what is groundwater? So it is a water found underground in the cracks and spaces in the soil, sand, and rock. It is stored and moves slowly through the geological formations of soil, sand, and it is known as the aquifers and the rocky aquifers. The area where water fills the aquifers is called the saturated zone. The top of the zone is called the water table. The water table may be located only a foot below the ground surface, or it can sit hundreds of feet down. So as I said, in Rajasthan, in Jaipur itself, the groundwater table has gone as low as 300 to 400 feet, which is a serious concern in the coming times, because these are those areas which are dependent entirely on the groundwater. So this conservation becomes a very important thing. So this is general about the aquifers, but the groundwater recharge. So groundwater supplies are replenished or recharged by rain and snowmelt that seeps down into the cracks and crevices beneath the land surface. Water in the aquifers is brought to the surface naturally through a spring or can be discharged into lakes or streams, and groundwater can also be extracted through a well drilled into the aquifer. This groundwater is found almost everywhere. The water table may be deep or shallow, may rise or fall depending on many factors. Heavy rains or melting snow may cause the water table to rise, or heavy pumping of groundwater supplies may cause the water table to fall. So I think most of us are aware that the major cause of this groundwater levels which are falling down in the country is due to the heavy pumping. And this cannot be entirely attributed to the industries, but this is also majorly due to agriculture. The coming slides will show how much groundwater draft is due to the various factors. Okay. So groundwater is three things which we should know about the groundwater. It is a continuously active, it flows very slowly as compared to the surface water. It is different from the seawater, surface water, and atmospheric water. And groundwater is found inside the earth, and for this reason, it cannot be easily contaminated. And India uses 24% of the world's total groundwater. So this is the annual water availability in India. So the total precipitation is 4,000 BCM. This is recharged, and annual water availability is 1869 BCM, out of which only 1123 BCM is utilizable. Out of this 1123, sorry, surface is 690 BCM, while the groundwater is 433 BCM. Sorry. This is the per capita water availability with time. So if we see 1931 in the 361 million population having a per capita water availability of 5177 is now about 1820, which is projected in 2025 is only 1341, and by the 2050 it will be only 1140, which is a very alarming situation for a country like India. Now, India's water demand for various uses. In the year 2010, irrigation contributed to about 78%, which is projected to be 69%. Agriculture will contribute to the major consumer of the groundwater, while the industries consume about 7% of the total groundwater, which is being extracted in the country. It is followed by, hello. What is interesting here?
I would request all other participants to kindly mute themselves. There's a quite of disturbance. Please, Engineer Vipul, please continue.
So irrigation continues to be the major consumer of the groundwater, followed by industries and domestic. But these figures, these are based on the various piezometric wells and abstraction data which have been provided by the various domestic and industrial developments across the country. So to monitor this further, CGW, I think, has taken very important steps by mandating the use of water meters and the piezometers in all the industries, which are consuming in excess of 100 cubic meters per day. This will also help in monitoring and devising the future strategy for the groundwater development and the abstraction versus the groundwater recharge. Now, the importance of groundwater, I don't think I need to read this. Now, what are the potential threats to groundwater? The most important and the most potential threat to groundwater is the groundwater contamination. So this groundwater contamination could be due to various reasons. It could be geogenic, it could be other things, but the major source for groundwater contamination is the industries. So we have seen many examples in this country where these industrial units which are abstracting this groundwater, and they are required to treat their industrial effluent. Instead of treating those effluent, what they were doing is they were drilling the bore wells, putting all those untreated industrial hazardous effluent into the groundwater directly. If you see many parts of the country, including parts of Gujarat, or parts of Rajasthan, parts of Punjab, this has caused a serious groundwater contamination. In fact, if you go to Pali or Balotra, you can see those impacts of this discharge of industrial effluents into the streams or into the groundwater. There is a river called Luni River, where you can see after every 5 to 10 kilometers, you can see a different color of the surface water, which shows how severe this contamination has been done. Then the overuse and the depletion of the groundwater. This as an engineer, I think this is very important for overuse and depletion, because in many of the industries, even if the water requirement can be absolutely less, but we tend to overuse this groundwater. For the earlier reason was this was not chargeable, so we had a tendency to overuse, and which caused the depletion of the groundwater. Then the nitrates, pharmaceutical and personal care products, improper managed on-site wastewater. This is again a very important factor in the groundwater, which causes the threat to groundwater and source of groundwater contamination, because there are so many construction, legal constructions which goes on, and there are so many waste which has been spilled on the ground. When there is a when there is a rainfall, this runoff causes contamination of the groundwater aquifers. This groundwater contamination occurs when the man-made products such as gasoline, oil, road salts, and chemicals get into the groundwater and cause it to become unsafe and unfit for the human use. Materials from the land surface then move through the soil and end up in the groundwater. For example, pesticides and fertilizers, they can find their way to groundwater supplies over time. In addition to the process of this untreated wastewater, according to the index, groundwater has decreased by 10 to 25% per year.
Vipulji, your voice is now you're not audible, sir. Can you just check your system? Yes, your system, I think you're not audible earlier.
Now am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. So these are some of the negative effects of groundwater depletion. One is lowering of the groundwater table, increased cost. As the water table lowers, the water must be pumped further to reach the surface using more energy. In extreme cases, using such a well can be cost prohibitive. Now, reduced surface water supplies. Groundwater and surface water are interconnected. When groundwater is overused, the lakes, streams, and rivers connected to the groundwater can also have their supply diminished. The land subsidence and the water quality concerns, because as the groundwater table will go down, the water quality concerns will play a major role. Now, nitrates in drinking water. These nitrates infiltrate drinking water through several sources. So as I said, runoff from the fertilizer is the most common source of nitrates. They also come from improperly disposed sewage, which is the major point of concern in a country like India, because our sewage system is not that good. So leaking septic systems, industrial waste. I think Ministry and NGT have taken major steps to impose a condition to maintain a zero liquid discharge to most of the industries. But this is not, this is mostly applicable to those industries which come under the ambit of EIA notification, or which are considered to be a water consuming industry. In fact, most of the industries which are still not covered, or maybe, they have not been enrolled with the consent mechanism, they continue to pollute groundwater because they don't implement those, wastewater management systems. And as a result, all their industrial effluent is going directly into the ground. Now, several methods have been proven to remove nitrates, including distillation, reverse osmosis, ion exchange, and electrodialysis. Now, in this, I would like to talk about reverse osmosis, which is now very mandatory in most of the industries due to the water quality concerns. This reject water from the RO is a point of major concern, because as of now, what most of the industries will be is mandated to do is to implement multi-effect evaporation system, which is not that cost effective. So industries, to in order, they may show that we have installed an ME, but they will not do it. And all those high TDS water and the reject water from RO is being directly pumped into the ground, is directly discharged into the ground. It causes the major, again, this groundwater pollution. So pharmaceutical and personal care products in the drinking water supplies, so intentional disposal of unneeded PPCVs, PPCPs, bathing and swimming, discharge from the municipal sewage systems or private septic systems, leaching from the landfills, which is a very important thing, which we have still in most of the landfill sites which are operative across the country. Most of them are cause of major leachates. I'll move further. So what can be done is the on-site wastewater treatment system. So as an engineer, all those wastewater treatment systems can be implemented, especially for the housing sectors. Now, sewage treatment plants in the industries which are covered under the ambit of EIA notification. That means all those industries which are having all those building projects which are having a built-up area of more than 20,000 square meters are required to put up a STP plant for the treatment of wastewater. What we can do from using this platform is to mandate, to urge government to mandate this STPs in all those projects which are having a potential groundwater this wastewater treatment, this wastewater generation. For example, it is not possible when built up area is 19,000, it will not cause the ground, it will not cause the it does not require an STP. But if the built up area is 20,000 or 21,000, then you are required to have an STP. So these policies should be uniform. Now the new or emerging issues is the hydraulic fracturing, an oil and gas well under the development process that involves injecting water under the high pressure into the bedrock formation via the well, and the microplastics, which are the source of major concern very recently. Now the classification of water users can be large water users, which could be 15 MLD or 15,000 cubic meters per day. All 17 category industries are majorly covered into the large water users, the medium water users, 3 MLD to 15 MLD, small water users, and the tiny water users. So how we can improve the integration and visibility of the groundwater? So this invisible character of groundwater does not easily lend itself to inform policy and therefore needs constant increase in attention. So link groundwater to SDG monitoring and reporting, which is continuous monitoring, should be done for the groundwater development, and interagency project and activities on the groundwater can be done, and capitalize on the groundwater issues. These CGWA has taken a very good step in the notification of 2020 by providing incentives to all those industries or the groundwater users who are implementing the recharge structures. They are giving 50% rebate on all the industries, which are 50% rebate on the groundwater abstraction charges on all the industries who are who have done this rainwater harvesting systems at their site. Now, these 5 small measures can be taken. One is to implement the principle of precaution, then to adopt cradle-to-cradle method. In the current cradle-to-grave production, groundwater gets contaminated due to harmful chemicals, but to cradle-to-cradle, that is promoting recycling production process is the way forward. Maximum recycling should be done, recycling and reuse should be done, especially in the industries. And to change the food habits, the reason for depletion and contamination of most of the groundwater is modern chemical farming. To prevent this, taxes or fines should be imposed and subsidies should end, and ecological agriculture should be practiced. In addition, consumption of beef should be reduced. I mean, this is a controversial topic, definitely. And to be strengthened groundwater management and operation, there is a need to make groundwater science accessible to the people on the large scale, because many of the people do not understand what groundwater is, what are those nuances, why you should preserve this groundwater, what is the long-term benefits. So this groundwater management and operation should be accessible. This knowledge of this should be accessible to the majority of the population, and to ensure effective groundwater monitoring. So what 7 ways of water conservation and unveiling the mystery, understanding the complexity of the hydrological cycle, collecting usage statistics, which I think CGW is doing now. And in fact, environmental authorities have also started collecting the usage statistics by assessing the impact of climatic change, by boosting the capacities, using rainwater for agriculture. Because India, I mean, as we have seen in our previous slide, 70% of the groundwater is being consumed by the agricultural sector. So using rainwater for agriculture, storage of that rainwater and investing in infrastructure that increase the aquifer recharge can help the sustainable use of groundwater and improve food security, human health, and aquatic biodiversity. And underlining the role of biodiversity, and groundwater is not just meant for human use, but it is also an integrated source for maintaining water flow and supporting ecological influx, such as moist land. Such conjunctions have to be made that bring groundwater to the forefront and need to protect its source is well understood. And combining different streams, which is experts from the different streams needs to come together to put groundwater in the spotlight. I mean, as an environmental practitioner, this is the problem which we generally face because most of the departments are working independent of each other. So when these all these departments can come together and put up a common policy, that I think should be able to help us all. So how can we save water? Number one is to treat the wastewater through STPs, ETPs, CETPs, common STPs. Then the rainwater harvesting, which I think is mandated by most of the agencies nowadays. And this could be, I mean, this can be in two parts. One is rainwater collection and one is rainwater harvesting. Again, I would like to, thank CGWA in the recent notification, they have restricted chemical industries to recharge groundwater, which I think will definitely help to help in preventing the groundwater contamination. Earlier, this policy was not there, but with this new policy now, I think rainwater storage will definitely increase. And through refilling of natural water resources, which enhances the catchment area and contemplate aquifer recharge for managing any surpluses. Now, building a case for invisible groundwater remains a very challenging task. We need to step up our efforts to improve the knowledge of groundwater resources, improve information and knowledge sharing, use contemporary interactive information systems, and raise awareness on many folds. With this, I conclude my presentation. But yes, I would like to show a few slides, like this is the water requirement which has been prescribed by National Building Code for buildings other than residences. For building for residences, it is 135 LPCD, which I think, I mean, as a practice, as an environmental consultant, I know that 135 LPCD is somewhere not practical, but since it is there in the Gazette, so we are forced to put up our water budgeting based on 135 LPCD. What actually is required is to know a practical thing. What is the actual groundwater consumption? What is the actual per capita groundwater consumption? I'll give a small example. In Delhi, this per capita water consumption is taken as 200 LPCD. As per the various uses, it is 135 LPCD, which is meant for the lower income houses. So, some practical things should come into picture so that actual monitoring of groundwater and, actual monitoring and of consumption can be done. So, I mean, this is just a reproduction and projected groundwater for industries. This is one case study which we have taken for paper and pulp specific water consumption norms. So as of now, what the problem, what I think is, this is available to a very limited people. One more example for distilleries, Ministry of Environment and Forest insists you should go for 4 liter per liter of alcohol production. But I mean, this knowledge is limited to only those industries which are taking environment clearance from the MOEF. For industries which are taking environment clearance from the state authorities, go as high as 8 liter per liter of productions. So that is the reason, yes, I mean, I'm insisting that this knowledge sharing should be uniform so that more people are beneficiated. CGW also has, notified only the water consumption specific to the building and construction projects only. For industries, their standards are not there. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you all for patient listening.
Thank you, Engineer Vipulji, for your nice presentation. Yes, you've raised a couple of good points. And first of all, the point which you've raised was that there's a groundwater contamination. Yes, Punjab and Rajasthan has been a good example for that. And the importance is from cradle to cradle. That's important. We have to build up a circular economy for for products, for having a efficient water reuse. Other point which you've highlighted is that we have got to restore our water bodies and Baulis. That were the initial things, because if our water bodies are restored, our groundwater is bound to increase. So that's important. And then there should be a cohesion between the various agencies working on towards the common groundwater problem. So I think those things are have been highlighted, and we hope that attendees would have gained from your deliberation.
I would like to ask a question, if you permit.
Yes, sir, definitely. Actually, we are short of time. In fact, this was a statutory day, so we've not kept an option for questions. But sir, please, you for a question.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I'll ask the question in brief.
Yes.
I believe the water table in Haryana and Punjab is going down.
Yes.
Is there any state in the country where they have been able to arrest the water table from going down?
Okay. Now, this is a valid question. I think we have our chief guest, Sri Sunil Kumar ji. He is the chairman of Central Groundwater Board, and I think he is the right person to answer this question. We'll be coming back to him. He has still not made his presentation.
No, you can ask the speaker only. Speaker,
Okay,
speaker has made many points. It's a simple
engineer-
question. Any
Yeah,
state has successfully been able to combat depletion of groundwater table?
Any of the panelists, if you can give us, or Engineer Vipul Khandelwal, you have any idea of this, that any of the state has been able to restore or increase the groundwater level? Or Engineer Moria ji, if you have some knowledge, sir?
No, sir.
Let me add here,
Yes.
if you permit.
Yes, sir, please.
We have got the data of, say, starting from 2005 onward, and we have compared how the water level has gone down and gone up. And the question is very relevant because frequently we are getting.
I think there are a couple of people who have their mics unmuted. Kindly mute them, please. Kindly mute them, please. Yes, sir. Sir,
You are not audible, sir.
Sir, you're not audible, sir. I think everyone has been muted. Yeah. Yes, sir.
No. So I was just telling that there are about 6,500 units in India, which we assess regularly after an interval of 2 years. And 17 and 30 data we have compared, and there are about 100 units which show improvement. So the data is with me. In case you want, I can show it here. But this is the data we have given to the Parliament also.
No, I just want to know any state.
Sorry, sir.
Any particular state.
Rajasthan also, they have taken a good work. And because there was a Chief Minister Jal Swalamban Yojana, and there is about 3 BCM increase in the total resource in Rajasthan itself.
No, water table
So they
has
have
gone
taken
up by how many meters? Average
Sir,
water
there
table.
are two things. There are two things. One is two measures are there. One is the water table has gone up, and second is the sustainability of the tube wells or the increase in the acreage of the agriculture. So you must be knowing there is a Catch the Rain program is running in the ministry, where Jal Shakti Abhiyan is going on. In that, we collected data from different states, and we choose the 15 districts, and from them we choose the data. So from the comparison of the 2-year data, it has come to our notice that out of 15 districts, 8 have shown the rising water level, and there are 6 out of 15, 7 where 3-4 are having same type of water level, and even 2-3 has shown decline also. So it's not that the effort of the government has directly increasing the water level, but of course, yes, more than 50% of the district we have chosen, they have shown the rise in water level. and those data is with me. In case you want, I can share my screen. It is with me because just I have come from the ministry, and this was actually called in the Atal Bhujal Yojana. One scheme is already running, where they have asked whether the scheme has made a dent into the really mindset of the people and really increase the water level or increase the acreage of the crop, whatever they were taking. So how the supply side intervention by the government or the community has improved the groundwater situation in the country.
I would have been happier. Like in Haryana, the water table has gone down by 2 to 5 meters. If you cite one state in India where you say water table has gone up by 1 meter, you know, talking about 15 districts,
Sir.
out of them 5 districts have shown an increase. No, that doesn't give
Sir.
the bigger
थोड़ा सा रुक
picture.
जाइए सर, थोड़ा
हाँ,
थोड़ा
एक
रुक जाए सर
state का
जरा
बता
सा.
दीजिए. हाँ.
हाँ, मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ सर. मेरा स्क्रीन आप देख पा रहे हैं?
हाँ जी सर.
कौन सी स्टेट देखने आप देख लीजिए जी.
नहीं, आप बता
ये
दीजिए.
लास्ट कॉलम देखिए, जो लास्ट कॉलम है ना आपका, दिस शोज द रिसोर्स सिचुएशन वेदर इट हैज इम्प्रूव्ड. अगर ये इम्प्रूव हुआ तो वाटर लेवल का राइज हुआ है, इसका मतलब यही है. तभी वहां पे वाटर लेवल अच्छा हुआ है, मतलब पहले से अच्छा हुआ है ये. ठीक है, कोई चेंज नहीं हुआ. तो लास्ट कॉलम में देख लीजिए, ये 17 और 13-17 का कंपैरिजन देख लीजिए. ये पूरे इंडिया का है. यहाँ पे जैसे इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ है, ये आप देख लें. यहाँ पे खराब भी हुआ, नीचे में फिर इम्प्रूव हुआ, कोई चेंज नहीं हुआ. ये फिगर हम पार्लियामेंट को भी देते हैं और नीति आयोग को भी देते हैं. ये पूरे इंडिया की फिगर है जो भी आपके सामने मैं दिखा रहा हूँ.
So it means it
हरियाणा
is
का आपको
not-
देखना, हरियाणा का भी है इसमें नीचे.
it is not
If you
per
want
state,
specific
but
to Haryana,
ये district के हिसाब से आपने रखा है.
सर एक एक ब्लॉक का है.
Yes, yes, yes.
नहीं,
Yes.
ब्लॉक का तो है, लेकिन उसको सिंथेसाइज कर दीजिए ना. If you have
नहीं,
too
क्या
much of
चाहिए आप
data,
बताएं.
you can get drowned in the details. I want you to
नहीं, आप
synthesize.
अगर आपको सुनिए, देखिए, are we celebrating here this day or we are questioning the some authority that what you are doing, not doing?
No,
In
no, we are
case you
not
want
questioning
detailed
anyone.
data, you send us the mail. See,
हाँ,
just
we are
send us
not
the mail.
questioning
We will
anyone.
provide your input.
Certainly not.
आपको जो चाहिए आप मांगिए, हम भेजेंगे आपको.
अच्छा,
बट
ठीक.
अभी इंस्टेंटली आपके हिसाब से प्रोड्यूस करना मुश्किल होगा.
Okay.
I think the point is well taken. What the Shri Sunil Kumar ji has highlighted is that they have made a data of each district has which has shown an improvement or not. So
Sir, even blocks, sir.
even
We are
blocks,
going up to block level.
to the blocks level. I think it will be a very big data to put on record for a small meeting, like for a small time schedule like this. So I think we can have.
No, in case you want, we will share it, no problem.
Definitely.
It is in free domain.
Okay.
Sir,
fine.
Suri Saab, if you can just drop an email, we will.
No, it's okay. I wanted the broad picture. He is giving me details, but it's okay. Fine.
Yes, yes. So there has been improvement. The important point is there has been improvement from 13-17. So obviously in various areas there has been improvement. There are some areas there have been degradation also. Anyway, moving ahead, I would now request our next panelist. We have yes, we have our next panelist, Dr. Sarita Sachdeva. She is a professor, biotechnology, executive director and green research, Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies. She is PhD in biosciences, nominated as nodal officer for Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. She is nominated member as ecology and environment expert in district Faridabad committee, and also founder director of a startup company, Trico Agronica Private Limited, in concern with development of organic bioformulation. And many research publications are to her credit. So I would like to invite Dr. Sarita for her deliberation. Ma'am, if you can just squeeze your presentation between 15 to 20 minutes, kindly. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving a introduction. I'll be sharing my screen, please.
Yes, please.
A very good evening to one and all, and my special thanks to Institution of Engineers India, Faridabad Local Center for inviting me to be part of this celebration webinar on occasion of World Water Day on a very important theme, that is groundwater, making the invisible visible. Dear friends, there can be several interpretations to making invisible visible when it comes to a resource as vital as water, the blue gold, whether as groundwater or otherwise. My previous speaker, Vipulji, has given a very clear picture of groundwater in India, per capita water availability with time, water demand, various uses with agriculture being the main user up to 69%, the potential threats. And yes, he has mentioned with the new age pollutants, that is microplastics, nanomaterials, and the states like Gujarat, Punjab, and Maharashtra who are coming under threat. But me as a researcher and student of biology, my interpretation of making invisible visible is slightly different. Right at the very onset of my presentation, I would like to pose a question, that is, do you know 140 liters of water is required to produce your cup of coffee? I will let this question be there till the end of my presentation. Right, so when we go through the water usage, it is said that the water demand is growing very fast, and it has become extremely more in the last 100 years. But yes, there are three reasons with which we say so. The main users of water are none other but the agriculture sector, the industry sector, and yes, the domestic sector, which have not only used the surface water, but they have also now been using groundwater to great extent. And that is our question of worry. Yes, another important question which I will like to put before you all is that what is the minimum quantity of water a person needs per day? The World Health Organization says that just about 20 liters per capita per day should be the right amount of water which can take care of our basic hygiene needs and basic food needs along with drinking purposes. United Nations predictions for 2025 is that the population will increase by 2.2 billion, cereal consumption will become double, meat consumption will become triple, municipal and industrial water use will also increase by 18%, and global water withdrawals will increase by 32%. So I would like to draw your attention and give a brief introduction to a concept which has come up in last 4 to 5 years and is gaining importance. That is what we call as virtual water. Now, this concept of virtual water has actually been put forward by Tony Allen in UK, who has very strongly advocated that we need to address what we call as virtual water. Now, what is this virtual water? Virtual water is actually a term that links water, food, and trade. It is the amount of water that is embedded in our food and products, which we not only consume and produce day after day. Virtual water, if you take it as embedded water, is very much present in almost all food products and in a good quantity. We cannot see it, it is invisible, but it has been used, and that is what is meant by virtual water. Global virtual water trade between nations for the top 10 products is listed in this table and clearly shows that the products as well as the food products which we trade along our borderlines are the one which are visible, but along with this, there's a good amount of water which also comes under trade. Researchers all across the globe have made efforts to list down the global average virtual water content of some of the selected products. And the amount of virtual water per food per country, it varies. This table clearly shows that there is a good difference, and this difference naturally lies in the climate, the applied technology, and the amount of production which it is related with. But it is the truth of the day. Water, it is embedded in the commodities, and we need to see it. We need to make it visible by our conscious and by our efforts. And that is what I say is the water footprint. The chain is very clear, from the farmer to the food processor to the retailer to the consumer. And unless and until all these four people, they collaborate, they understand, we will never be able to conserve our water. Global virtual water trade is maximum for crops. As my previous speaker said, that agriculture is the one which is using 69%, then livestock products and industrial products. And yes, the countries which import this virtual waters is Central and South Asia, Western Europe, North Africa, and Middle East. Coming back to my own country, national flagship program, Jal Jeevan Mission. This particular program is oriented on supplying water to every household. That is functional tap connections so that every household has water. It's a scheme where Haryana stands third in rank in the country and has almost completed 99% of its mission of bringing water to every household in rural area in Haryana. They have done a very quick and good work moving up the ladder with the years of launch of the scheme in 2018-19. Our states are still struggling for safe and drinking water, and Haryana has taken the lead with 21 districts having almost 100% of FHTS connections at the district, block, and the Gram Panchayat levels. They have also tried to bring about the other side of the coin. That is where there is a supply, there has to be also management. So the gray water, which is generated by the human use, is also being taken care of. And that is the good news, of course. Apart from that, as I was sharing with you the concept of virtual water, and I feel very happy to be resident of the state of Haryana, where it has been realized under the scheme called Mera Pani Meri Virasat. This particular scheme is actually in the background to bring forward crop diversification in Haryana and to bring water usage efficiency in agriculture, to conserve water, especially when 70% of fresh water is withdrawn for agricultural purposes. The farmers who will move from paddy to maize, cotton, bajra, and pulses in 1 lakh hectare will be given financial help of 7,000 per acre to these farmers so that they can shift their crop, especially when paddy cultivation, as you all know, has maximum usage of water. So very clearly, the point is that we have to realize that our water, which we have been using in production of crop, livestock, or industrial use, has also to be accounted for. It is not that we have used it and that's it. So for this, we all have to work towards what is called as water footprint. Every morning when we have breakfast, when we have lunch in the afternoon and the dinner at night, we also need to have our personalized habit changed. As Vipulji rightly pointed out, change in food habits. What exactly is this? That if I have a cup of coffee in a day, I use 140. But if I have multiple cups in a day, that means I'm using much more of water. So accordingly, we need to customize our eating habits so that at the background, we are bringing about conservation of water. So what better day can it be than the World Water Day, when we bring about different facets of water conservation. It is not only about surface water, it is not only about grey water management, it is not only about groundwater, its contamination, its overuse, putting many states and districts in India under water stress, which I am sure Sunil sir will explain more explicitly. But yes, we also need to account for that water which we are using, whether in our agricultural practices, whether in our industrial practices, or at the domestic level. So virtual water balance has to be created. What we are exporting, what we are importing, that is the economical side of it, which we need to account for. And this, we need to understand that the global volume of water has remained the same, but the global growth and water use is increasing significantly. And that's why we need to conserve our water and plan it wisely. I often remember this quote by our father of nation: the earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not for every man's greed. This always stands true in all time frames, and therefore we need to realize water, and only by coming together, we can protect our environment as well as our water scenario. Thank you so much for giving me time to talk on this very peculiar subject, which is now making its presence in almost all platforms. And I'm happy that Haryana is a state which has realized it so soon, along with not only bringing about supply of water, but also trying to conserve water by economizing the crop diversification, as well as telling everybody, the local man, that yes, you have to account for water, what you are using. With this, I end my presentation, and I hope it will put the ball rolling and everybody's thought process that yes, we need to take care about virtual water.
Very, very many thanks, Dr. Sarita, for your wonderful presentation. And I would like to mention on record that you have given a different paradigm to what we have been discussing till now. And the word virtual water was the real crux of it, because we've always understood that every product you produce, you put in energy. Aluminium production uses this much energy. Coal production uses this much energy, but no one has really questioned the embodied water into the production of the products. That's important, and good amount of study is being done these days on the concept of embodied water. And I think it should come into our codes, our green building norms also, that yes, if a product has a higher embodied water, the usage should be discouraged, and we should go in for a better product. So I think that's a different paradigm which you opened for us, and really thank you for giving us your precious time. And I thank you for adhering to the time limit which has been allotted.
Thank you, sir.
For the day like this. And another thing which is important is now that I have earlier also mentioned that this is a statutory day, so we will not be having any question answer session. So I would, at the end of presentation, we'll be giving you an email address. If you have any queries from any of the panelists, kindly email us. We will forward it to the panelists. So as a statutory day, it is not a deliberated we are celebrating a day, so it will not be a question and answer session. So with this note, now I would move on to our next virtue speaker. I would just invite him. मैं स्वागत करता हूं इंजीनियर ओएस मौर्य जी का, जनरल मैनेजर
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
ESDC India Limited. He is a graduate civil engineer from Madan Mohan Malviya Engineering College, Gorakhpur. इन्होंने जनरल मैनेजर टेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स 2400 मेगावाट में काम किया है. He was head of product for Vishnugad People Koti hydroelectric works at Chamoli. After superannuation, he has worked as head of civil engineering department, Institute of Engineering and Technology, GIDA, Gorakhpur. Sir, we are honored. ये हमारा सौभाग्य है कि आप इस वक्त हमारे पास इस वर्ल्ड वाटर डे को सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ इंजीनियर्स फरीदाबाद लोकल सेंटर के लिए आप आपने हाँ की है. So we request you to kindly start your presentation and kindly limit us at 15 to 20 minutes, sir.
Okay, sir.
I think he's joining.
Thank you,
He's
sir.
joining from Gorakhpur.
He is joining for Gorakhpur, so a very many thanks for sir. So
I'm sharing the screen, sir.
Yes, sir. Please.
Just a minute, sir.
ಅಪ್ಪ ನಿಂಗಡ ಕಾರ್ ಕೀ ಕೊಡಿ ನನಗೆ ನೀನ್ ತಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಲ್ಲ
Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this World Water Day. It's an honor for me to speak on this occasion. This slide is for, I am putting this problem in a layman's problem, not a, earlier it was a very highly technical thought, technical discussion. Just 5 years, every year we are celebrating this World Water Day. It's a ritual, it has been ritual. So it is only to create awareness about the importance of the water, its conservation, its sustainable management of water sources. Now, theme of this World Water Day is groundwater making the invisible visible. Though groundwater is invisible, but its impacts are visible everywhere. Groundwater has become the fundamental resource for drinking and household activities, industrial use, agricultural use, and urban development. It sustains ecosystem and maintain base flow in the rivers. Despite above usage, invisible groundwater becoming the out of sight and out of mind of most of the people, it is the need of the hour to spread awareness about the importance of groundwater. We always hear the word sustainable management, sustainable water management. What is basically mean it? Using water in a way that meets the current need without compromising future need. What are the concern about this? Whatever quantity of groundwater extracted, same should be replenished naturally. Unfortunately, the extraction of groundwater is too much in comparison to the replacement. The extreme use of groundwater resources have serious concerns such as land subsidence, vegetation degradation, livelihood loss for rural poor, and food security implication. This vegetation degradation means the density of vegetation will be reduced. The crop yield will be reduced. That will cause the livelihood loss for the poor, and that impacts the food security also. By food security means every food for every citizen in the country, and this our government is also doing some dispersing some this grains for the poor people on the under this scheme. Reason for increased demand. Our country is one of the populous country world, which is 17.5% of world population. Similarly, the livestock population is also 20%. Due to population growth, rapid urbanization, industrial growth, and change in the land use pattern have increased the water demand tremendously. Just about the population growth, 50,000 births are taking place in a day. It's increasing our demand. Rapid urbanization, this is also.
क्या बड़बड़ कर रही हो?
Hello, shifting of the rural people from the urban areas. This will be one of this statement, it is going to be up to 2030, it should be 40%. Industrial growth, change in land use pattern have increased the water demand. Land use pattern, we are putting the forest into agriculture into the residential or industrial. So these, when we are changing the land pattern, it means we are increasing the groundwater demand. One of the report given by Niti Aayog has given that the 21 cities in India will run out of the groundwater in 2020, though year in 2022, affecting around 100 million people. The report also says that 40% of India's population will have no access to drinking water by 2030. It's a red alert for us. We should take action in this regard. Another report says that 600 million people are facing extreme to high water stress in India. High stress, they are getting too less water as per the requirement, from their requirement. So this is not a good vision. We have heard about one of the incident in Chennai in 2015. There was a heavy flood in a century with the 494 mm of the rain in the city on a single day. 494 mm rain means per day means 500 liter in per square meter area. This heavy rain, more than 400 people in the state were killed, 1.8 million people have flooded out from their homes. After 4 years of that incident, there was a shortage of water that made the headlines. They declared a day zero. Day zero means municipality is not able to supply any water. All the reservoirs were run dry, forcing government for ending drinking water. Both events appear to be linked with the one reason, that is climate change. This one reason I also know that the water bodies in that area that was a 12.2 square kilometer was reduced to 3.2 kilometer, and the IT corridor was constructed into 320 square kilometer on the marshy land. This may be the one of the region where the biodiversity has been affected. Surface water a major share. We cannot deal groundwater in isolation. Water above ground is equally important, which is 70%. Unless we save water above ground, which is available due to the melting of glaciers and rains, we cannot reduce the extraction of groundwater. We will have to make arrangements for storing and preventing from being contaminated too. Effects of climate change. Due to this climate change, seasons have altered. Farmers are facing flood and drought. They are not getting water for irrigation as per their need and are forced to use groundwater. Due to extinction of species, loss of soil organic carbon, crop yield has also been reduced. Population is increasing, crop yield is reducing, demand of water is increasing. Basic requirement of life, air, water, and food have been affected by the climate change. Effect of the air pollution on the water, along with the greenhouse gas emission, pollution level is also increasing. In winter season, air quality index is crossing severe level 2, and especially in Delhi, it's crossing the level severe plus also, severe. It's releasing particulate matters, SO2, NOx, ozone, ammonia, etc. in the atmosphere. Water bodies are being polluted by acid rains, by arsenic, lead, nickel. It is a discharge by industrial effluent and from atmosphere as a particulate matters. Greenhouse gas emission, air pollution, and water pollution are interlinked. Emission of greenhouse gases, air pollution, and water pollution are interlinked. So action taken for greenhouse gas emission and air pollution will also reduce water pollution too. For reduction in the emission of the greenhouse gases, air pollution, and for augmentation of groundwater, a series of steps have already been taken and are being taken by the government of India. What are the action taken by this is the reference to the action taken in reference to the point agreed in the Paris Climate Agreement COP26. Action taken on controlling air pollution, Atal Bhujal Yojana to improve groundwater, restoration of 26 million hectare degraded land. For the why you are mentioning Paris Climate Agreement here? 3 nationally determined contributions where the 40% electricity will be generated by this non-fossil fuel. There will be 30-35% reduction in the carbon intensity, and third was there will be a carbon pool for this 3 billion ton carbon. This was again revised in COP26. They have made it. The 50% electricity will be generated on the non-fossil fuel. 500 gigawatt will be the production of this electricity. Second is the reduction in this 45%, and creation of additional carbon sink of 1 billion ton to up to 2030. Net zero carbon would be achieved by 2070. Why I am mentioning that this energy, renewable energy, we are producing 50% now. This is a installed capacity and generation at the 2019. Just see the coal and gas percentage is 63%, and just in another slide it is 36%. In 2030, the projected generation is in 2030 is the 36%. So and similarly the hydro, this is the installed capacity in 2019 45, and projected figure is the 61 in the 2030. This 500 gigawatt installed capacity from non-fossil fuel will generate electricity without emission of the ground greenhouse gases, and pollution will be zero. Out of 500 gigawatt, 16 gigawatt is from hydro. To achieve this capacity, 15 to 20 hydro projects, including small medium dams, would be constructed and made functional by 2030. It means that these dams would be able to store additional water, which would be utilized for drinking and irrigation purposes. It will certainly reduce load on the groundwater. If you are making 50-20 dam, just this Tehri project, this live storage was 2,500 million meter cube. If I am supposing that the one dam is preparing this storage for the 1,000 million cubic meter, then it will be more or less 20,000 million cubic meter. A good storage for the water will be there. It will certainly reduce the load on the groundwater. Advantage due to not adding new thermal powers. By seeing the chart, it is clear that generation of electricity by coal and gas was 78% in 2019, while projected generation in 2030 is 56%. The average water requirement of coal-based plant with cooling tower is about 5-7 cubic meter water per megawatt hour. GOI is not going to add new thermal power plant apart from what has already been planned. It's a good decision to avoid emission, air pollution, and would help in saving the water too. Action for reducing emission, air pollution. I am just mentioning this air emission and air pollution are linked. Air pollution also pollute the groundwater. So I want to mention that this one decision of this government has given a 9 crore LPG connection. These are saving 9 crores tree per year, and they are lowering the emission also. They are lowering the pollution also, and it is good for the groundwater storage also. Now this CNG, we have this now they are producing hydrogen CNG. This will reduce further the pollution also down. You have seen that the BS6 has been introduced in the 2020, speaking BS4, BS5 within minimum time of 3 years. The sulfur content in diesel and petrol have been reduced by 10 ppm. In BS3 it was 150 ppm, BS4 it was 50 ppm, and now it is BS6 is 10 ppm. So this is almost nil. It is as good as the developed countries. We have achieved that. Particulate matters NOx, this NOx, nitrogen oxides is also we using some technology. We are changing nitrogen oxide into the nitrogen and water, and this particulate matter we are using some diesel particulate filter, which is arresting this carbon content, and which is responsible for the global warming also. So in this way, we have reduced too much pollution from our vehicles. We are going to 30% vehicle would be electrical vehicle up to 2030. It will cut emission and pollution both. Natural gas is being introduced to cut the emission. Alternate fuel has also been introduced in cement industry, target to achieve 25% by the 2025 and 30% by 2030. Every industry is making arrangement for cutting emission and removing pollution up to the safe level. This is very important. Creation of additional carbon sink. Creation of additional carbon sink of 1 billion ton of equivalent CO2 up to 2030. It will not only sequester CO2 from the atmosphere, but also helpful in reducing pollutants from the atmosphere and be helpful in restoring the biodiversity too. Forests are helpful in discharging groundwater by preventing surface runoff, transpiration, which further leads to precipitation and less evaporation. This is one of the schemes issued by the government of India, Atal Bhujal Yojana. This is under this scheme, this 8350 gram, 8,350 gram panchayats were selected out of 7 states. These are the villages where groundwater table is shrinking or going down. Farmers would be educated how to use shrinking groundwater resource effectively, preparation of the water estimates for the crops, and use of technology of reducing water consumption. This is the restoration of 26 billion hectare degraded land up to 2030. When we address the degraded land, we also address water scarcity, augmenting water supply, enhancing water discharge, slowing down the water runoff, and retaining moisture in the soil are part of the holistic land and water strategy too. We have heard the name of the Indore is the first water plus city. They have become the first water plus city. Dirty water was not allowed to go to river or the drain. 30% sewer water recycled. About 7,000 public toilets and domestic outfalls in cities were stopped. The city river was freed from the sewer line, and means river water was prevented from being polluted. Use of river water and recycled water shall certainly lower the demand of groundwater. The landfill site, as you know, that these are the sites where these chemicals are leaching to the ground, making it unsuitable. So we should landfill sites are required to have clay or synthetic liner to protect groundwater. Revival old water bodies. Due to rapid urbanization, some of the water bodies, lakes, ponds, tanks, bodies, and tables, talabs were already been enclosed or made waste disposal sites. Untreated influents and sewage are also discharged. Water bodies should be planned to revive within fixed time period throughout the country. If it revived, act as a source of drinking water, recharge groundwater, and support biodiversity, etc. It would reduce load on the groundwater. Delhi government is taking steps to make Delhi city of lakes. Rejuvenation of 201 water bodies has been finalized with aim to achieve BOD 10 ppm. Rainwater harvesting system. The rainwater system, free and clean source of water. It can charge the groundwater beside other purposes. It can be easily constructed and maintained. Recharge shafts, recharge pits are used for water bodies on large parks. Rooftop rain water harvesting are being used widely to charge groundwater as well as household. This picture you are showing that this water harvest system was constructed by me at my house. One roof water harvest system 2 years back was constructed, creating 2 slabs having area of 3,300 square meter. Soil was found suitable for conducting percolation tests. After conducting percolation tests, the size of tank was kept 12 feet by 12.3 feet to 8.5 feet to 4.2 feet. Annual rainfall in Gorakhpur is 1.69 mm. Rainfall harvested is roughly 3 lakhs annually. This was constructed by me and 2 years back, and I'm fetching this 3 lakh liter water annually. Problem faced during the running of water. Once layer of coarse sand and fine sand was removed and placed clean sand, when it appeared that the percolation rate was reduced due to clogging. Second time, probably in the month of last December, it was found extremely low percolation during heavy rains. It was in heavily continuously for 7 to 10 days at the same time. Some construction was being done by them. Due to that construction, rainwater was obstructed and there was accumulation of water all around. Percolation rate was quite low, and even at that time, 1 feet free board was available in the pit. After 10 or 15 days, as the water logging reduced, water percolated. What I am recommending recommending to the government also, the old water bodies should be revived at water footing by government throughout the country. It will provide tremendous storage facility for the rainwater. Lands are available, only encroachments are to be cleared. Rooftop rainwater harvesting should be made mandatory for every house, as toilets were constructed for every house. Thank you, sir. It's all from me from Gorakhpur.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful presentation. And I hope you've highlighted all the pollution, various pollution reasons which actually pollute the groundwater. And also, you mentioned a wonderful example of Indore. Yes, the Indore has been nominated a cleaner city consequently, and for water also, they have a surplus water.
Yes, sir.
And Delhi government is doing initiative of renovating the earlier water bodies which are still dead. And on Atal Bhujal Yojana, we have a wonderful, our chief guest, who is the master for this Yojana. And I would now thank you first of all. And now I would invite our revered honorable chief guest, Sri Sunil Kumarji. He is chairman Central Groundwater Board, for his closing comments. And I would just request him to kindly guide us with his thoughts on the day today, sir.
I have got a small presentation to make.
Yes, sir. Please.
Permitted.
Yes, definitely, sir.
Thank you very much for calling me this day. Very aptly named as making groundwater management, making invisible visible. I think somebody had disabled me to share my screen. So
I would just request Engineer Pradeep Mallaji, kindly, if you are handling this system, kindly enable the screen sharing, please.
Done, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir, it has been done.
It has come. Okay. Can you view my screen?
Yeah, sir. We are seeing this.
It is visible?
They are visible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, visible, sir, please.
So good evening to everybody, and greetings from my side on this auspicious day, which we are celebrating 4 days late. No problem, but every day is water day. This first slide indicates something on the right side. The picture has been taken from the UN, and it shows that how the water cycle is working to recharge the groundwater, which provide the water to our household and many other activities. On the left side, there is a small timeline which shows that from 1992 how we have come down to 2022. As Oberoi Sahab already told that in 1992 this decision was taken that we need to focus on water. So then groundwater came up after 2 years, and then at that time the theme was making groundwater visible. Now the theme has been taken, groundwater making the invisible visible, because in these last years from 1990 to 2022 many problems have come up. So I will be discussing only a few parts, because my previous speakers, they have made my work simple and they have covered most of the issues and challenges in the water sector. So I will be skipping those parts. So the content of my presentation is basically 4 parts, which is basically how the groundwater availability is there in India. I will be focusing only in India, and what are the issue of sustainability, that whether we are having it round the year or not, and then whether we are having some quality issues, And is there any strategy which we can take up to tackle these problems? So it's a very briefly, what is aquifer basically? These are the formations, geological formation, which hold the water below the ground. And there are two diagrams shown on the left side, which show that how the layering occur below the ground, and through two wells, we tap the water bearing formation and take out the water. But once we look at a picture on the right side about the India, so we see that it can be seen broadly into two groups. One is the bluish color and second is the greenish color. And there are few patches of brownish color. Those brownish color are basically hills, and those greenish part, those are actually the hard rock area. And hard rock area, basically you can see from the area covered that about 70% of the India on the southern part is mainly covered by hard rock, and they have very low yield potential. And on the northern part, 30% of the area is covered by soft rock, like the alluviums and the Indo-Gangetic plain, Brahmaputra plain, which has the very good potential. Now, how do we basically find aquifer? There are various methods to locate them. We do hydrogeological survey, and then there are techniques, those are called geophysical, through which we send current inside the earth and see its signature. Then we drill wells and find out how the lithology occurring with respect to the depth. We monitor the groundwater levels to know whether it is going down or coming up. And we also test the water quality through our various labs. So if we want to see how the availability of resource over India, so we can see that the latest we have done the estimation in 2020, and that shows that we have got a 436 billion cubic meter of the resource. So if somebody wants to have an idea that what is a billion cubic meter, so you can say one Bhakra is 10 BCM. So we can say that about 43 Bhakra Nagal Dam water is available with us below the ground. And on the right side, we can see the red patches. Those shows that these are the area where most of the withdrawal, most of the water is being taken out, like the Punjab, Haryana, then Delhi, Rajasthan. In the south, you can see the Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and some part in between the Maharashtra in small patches. And if we see throughout India, we have got a average of the India 61.6% of level of development. That means out of the 100 liter of water, we are withdrawing 61.6 liter of water. But the major issue is that it is not uniformly distributed, and we have got the isolated patches, as has been seen on the right side, that red patches are there. And if you see the down, a table is given, which indicate that out of the around 7,000 units, 16% are overexploited, where whatever is falling on the ground, we are using more than that. And there are 4% critical. So total, if you add 20% are those units which immediately require a lot of attention, where we need to save water. If we want to see the sustainability issue, the southern India, on the left side of the map, we by fault, I left the Maharashtra. So Maharashtra is also included in that. Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. These are the states where we are having the issue of sustainability. We do not have water round the year. So here, what is the issue? Issue is that the groundwater is the major source of irrigation in this area, and the recharge potential of these aquifers is very low. The sustainability is very poor, and due to that, aquifer is showing the decline of water level. And what people are doing, they are digging the well deep and deep to meet their demand. So the water, the aquifer in the deeper levels also being desaturated. Coming to the next topic, which is the issue of water quality, you can see in the three maps that in India, basically, we have got the 5 type of problem. 3 are in this slide and 2 in the next slide. So arsenic is there, which is in 21 states and in parts of 152 districts. In fluoride, if you see, more than the required limit, 23 states is affected by the fluoride, and 370 districts are affected by them. And iron is basically in 27 states, and 341 districts are affected by the iron issues. And these are overlapping also. It's not that if you total them, then they will become more than the 712. So they are overlapping issues are also there. And the second issue, the next slide about quality is the salinity and the nitrate. My previous speakers has told about the nitrate issue, but the salinity issue is also there, and mostly located in the western part of the country and isolated patches in the Telangana and the Tamil Nadu also. So if we see that where the potability of water is poor, 18 states are those where the potability is poor, and 249 districts of Indian parts are affected by the salinity issue. And the nitrate issue is basically in 23 states, and 423 districts in parts are affected. And it is not only because of this fertilizer, it is also due to the anthropogenic activity, like the non-sewer treated water is being left to mix with the groundwater, or landfill site leachets are there. So actually what we can do to improve this situation, so basically we can have, first of all, the information on the issue where these issues are occurring. To properly demarcate these, we need to improve our mapping of the system, create a very high resolution database at micro level. We need to map these issues through the mapping of aquifers, and we need to have a better frequency of water level as well as the quality measurements. Quality need to be taken up, recently we have come up with a national compilation of uranium. There are about 480 locations which shows very high uranium contamination. So we are doing the finer level of grid around those locations to find out the actual area where these issues are occurring. And we have got deeper aquifer also, because that picture was for shallow aquifer. So deeper aquifer have got a lot of resource in Indo-Gangetic plain. We need to find out those things. And one of the important issue these days, you might be listening that the river Ganga or the other rivers in the southern India, they are not having the eco flow. So basically those rivers which are spring fed, we need to manage the springs, and by assessing their vulnerability, we need to resonate them. Their spring side need treatment so that they start flowing and contributing to the river. For water quality mapping and management, we need to find out the contamination zones, demarcate the safer aquifers like we have done in the Uttar Pradesh and the West Bengal, where arsenic problem was there. So we find out those aquifers in deeper locations which are free from the these contaminants, and then we provide them safe water. And we need to protect our aquifers which are likely to be affected by geogenic, means where rocks already having these contaminants, or by the human activity. And wellhead protection is being promoted by the ministry, so that around the well there should not be a flow of the polluted water all along the pipe. And we need to remediate those aquifers which has been polluted by various industry, as informed by my previous speakers. And these are the issues where our basic focus was mapping and management. Now the second issue is how we can contain these things. So that was mapping. Here we come to the management issue. So if we want to contain the over extraction of groundwater, we need to take up the aquifer rejuvenation program and water conservation in a large way, and improve our water use efficiency in the irrigation as well as in the industrial sector. Like Madam Sarita has told that and my previous speaker has also told that how the industry is using a large amount of water to produce 1 liter of a product or 1 kg of a product. And in urban area, we need to take up this sewer water or the recycle and use water, so that can be treated and discharged to the groundwater. There are few success stories where the treated water has been sold to the industries, and they are utilizing it for various purposes of the industry after treatment. And for sustainability of groundwater sources, we need to promote rainwater harvesting, artificial recharge, and they need to take care of our water bodies on their revival as well as their upkeep and maintenance. And this should also be supported by a good regulation and protection of our recharge zones and the vulnerable zones. Recharge zones are those areas from where the deeper aquifer getting the water, and our wetland or marshes, they need to be protected. Foothills area of the Bhabar zone, Tarai zone in Uttar Pradesh, Bajadas in Maharashtra, Aravali and Bhuj in Haryana, floodplains, coastal zones. These are the areas which need protection regularly and they need to be protected. And as one of my earlier speaker has told, that the water need to be seen in totality. So we need to manage the surface water and groundwater, keeping in view that we need to promote the integrated water source management. As Atal Bhujal is already promoting, we need to extend this Yojana to the other state also to promote the sustainable groundwater management in irrigation sector, so that the community take an informed decision on crop selection as well as managing their demand and supply. In addition to that, we can take up various measures to optimize our requirement. Like in the domestic sector, we need to promote the rating of smart home appliances, like the different types of showers or the washing machines or dishwashers. This is on the line of as we are getting in the AC and the fridge, which get the rating of the from the BE. So similarly, we can also have a rating of the various product for where the water saving is there. We can incentivize these products by providing them the support by the government. Similarly, we can have the rating of water pumps, because if the rating of water pump is improved, we can save a lot of electricity. And we can have a plan of rating various gram panchayat, township, municipal corporation based on the how much less water they are using and how they are managing their wastewater. Similarly, we can optimize our requirement in the building and infrastructure. One of the concepts is Sponge City concept. This has come from China, which say that we should promote the blue building concept. Building should be water efficient and not a single drop of water should go out of a city. And all the infrastructure, maybe it is a government or the private, they should be rainwater harvested. We should have the efficient public conveyance facility. We should rate them that they are using less water. Municipal water supply, as an estimate, 40% water goes as a leakage. So we can reduce this leakage by changing the pipeline. However, it is a very costly affair. But seeing this water problem, we need to take up this because a lot of water is being leaked, and we need to use the dual water supply systems in our houses, especially in township and big buildings which are coming up, for at least using the wastewater for those purposes which are not actually drinking and the domestic use, like the flushing के लिए हम लोग use कर सकते हैं. Similarly, this same thing can be promoted in the industries, and we can optimize our requirement by product star rating based on water consumption, how much water is required to produce a product, and pipes and joints with less friction can be used for transferring the water. We can fix the leaks and hose and nozzles. We can use the smart tools, equipment, and water pumps. Then promote the recycle and reuse in the industry. It has gone back. Okay. One of the important sector is which utilize the maximum amount of water is agriculture, and we tried to push this thing, but there are various political issues. Everybody knows that even for 3 farm law, what was the effect on that? We pursued a lot with the Ministry of Agriculture to at least meter the connections so that we come to know how much water is being used by the agriculture, but it could not be done. But we are promoting to basically improve the water application efficiency by laser leveling, sprinkler and drip systems, reducing the conveyance loss through providing the pipes to the farmers under the Prime Minister Kisan Sinchay Yojana, wherein the pipes are being provided to transport water from one farm to another in place of the open channel. And those are preparing the equipments for these such type of irrigation practices, like they're preparing some designers are there who are preparing various equipment for the irrigation. Those can be accredited and their practices can be benchmarked throughout the states, so that these can be adopted by various other the designers as well as the other states, so that the water consumed in the irrigation can be contained. Improving the pump water efficiency, efficient motor, and incentivize the less water crop incentivize the less water consuming crops. As Madam has already told, that the Haryana is the first state which has promoted the use of less water consuming crops. They were providing incentive, and as well as they are providing market to them. So it's a very popular scheme. Similarly, the Punjab has also gone to that. Punjab is also taking up certain innovative schemes wherein they are promoting, in case the industry taking up the recharge measure in their surrounding area, they will be giving incentive, and the charges will be less for them, water charges. Now I'm coming to the end of my presentation. So what could be the food for thought in case we want to save this resource and promote its efficient use, so that it is available in long run to the children and the next generation. So basically, we are also doing the regulation for the first aquifer, the top aquifer, and there are down below aquifers which are having the copious amount of water. So we need to regulate them separately and allow them to extract based on certain criteria. Like in, say, Faridabad, upper aquifer has been dried, but there are aquifer down below, we can allow them to use. So for that, we need to prepare various plans so that their recharge is also simultaneously taken up. And we need to assess their potential, how much water they hold. So accordingly, we need to provide them the government a plan that this can be taken up. And the next thing can be how we can take up the water footprint in all other sectors, like the products agriculture produced, like Madam has told, coffee. Similarly, all other products are there. Can we give the footprint on the label itself? And in case somebody is saving a lot of water, can we give them water credit? Like the carbon credit is there. In case somebody is producing less of oxygen, carbon, then a credit is given to them. Similarly, here we can give them incentive in case they are using less water, and a audit system in each and every place need to be introduced in industries as well as the infrastructures, not in the domestic sector. Wherein we need to audit our requirement as well as we need to keep account. So once we keep account, then only we can monitor this progress and how come we can save them. And there is a lot of need to promote research in urban water reforms, and we need to promote the water sensitive design of the buildings. We need irrigation water reforms, cost effective option for industry, drinking and domestic sector, grey water innovation and promotion of its use, adaptation to climate change and emerging issues. And the very important part is we need to see that how basin wise groundwater and surface water are interacting, and how we should plan our recharge initiative in such a way that our river do not go dry and the eco flow is maintained. And in this system, because a lot of ICT infrastructure has come up, the space technology is there, those need to be integrated with the measurement and the planning so as to achieve the maximum benefit. And wherever there is a contamination, these to be tackled in very hard hand, and we need to take up the remediation. And there is a strict guideline that whosoever is polluting the aquifer, he need to be he need to remediate it. So these are the guidelines by the NGT, and government has accepted it. So these are the things which I wanted to tell. With this, I would like to close my presentation with a request to all that save water and save our environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Yurnath.
Thank you, sir.
It was a really wonderful and eye-opening presentation, sir. And we hope that the efforts which CGWB and other government bodies are doing in protecting groundwater and studying the groundwater implications on us, I think it should be sensitized to general public as well. Like you just mentioned that farming is a big issue and convincing farmers or sensitizing is an important task. And I believe that if a person is sensitized towards the environment and the requirement, I think every sane individual would definitely go in for it and go for the technologies. I know that we have short the time and many of our panel, attendees have questions. I again request you to kindly send it on email faridabad.lc@ieiindia.org, and we will ensure that these questions are forwarded to the panelists and to Chairman Sir if it has been forwarded to. With this, I want to go towards the end of the webinar. The purpose of this webinar was to recognize the important work that we as engineers need to do in addressing the issue concerning the groundwater. We must protect groundwater from pollution, use its sustainability, and balancing the needs of people and planet. Groundwater's vital role in water and sanitation systems, agriculture, industry, and climate change adaptation must be reflected in sustainable development policy making. And we as engineers need to ensure that our cities are cleaner, more sustainable, smarter, and livable. And we can only get there if we all work together. With these words, I would like to invite our Honorary Secretary, Shri K.R. Gupta ji, to deliver vote of thanks, please. Sir.
A very good evening to everyone. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, sir.
Respected Chairman, Engineer Sandeep Handa, III Faridabad Local Center, our respected Chief Guest, Shri Sunil Kumar ji, Chairman of number of central water bodies, a very distinguished speaker, my fellow FLCC committee members, and all the audience present. On behalf of the Institution of Engineers, Faridabad Local Center, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks for technical webinar on Water Day. Groundwater is invisible, but its impact is visible everywhere. Out of sight, under our feet, groundwater is a hidden treasure that enriches our lives. Almost all of the liquid fresh water in the world is underground. As climate changes and gets worse, groundwater will become more and more critical. We need to work together to sustainably manage this precious resource. Groundwater may be out of sight, but it must be not out of mind. My sincere thanks to my all learned and very eminent speakers, Dr. Sarita Sachdeva, Engineer Bipul Khandelwal, and Engineer O.S. Maurya ji for making excellent presentation and making this webinar very interesting, meaningful, and educative. I also like to thank our moderator, Engineer I.S. Obrai ji and Pradeep Malla ji for their all support and making this event very energetic. My sincere thanks to our chief guest, Shri Sunil Kumar ji, for his gracious presence and sparing his valuable time from his busy schedule. I thank to our honorable IA members and all the participants who blessed with the presence and took the valuable time from their very, very busy schedule. With these warm words, sir, and a kind message, we move to the end of the today's event. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Jai Hind.